But let's talk about the elephant in the room, Max. Things have been dapping. I mean, the Bitcoin price has come down drastically. We have, Wall Street people, and I don't want to even say their names because I know you don't care for them, but are saying, I'm done with Bitcoin. I've sold my Bitcoin. So a lot of people who had entered the party and were joining in on the celebrations are now exiting. And a lot of investors I speak to are saying, oh gosh, I'm so scared of what's happening in Bitcoin. I had so much belief in it. And now I don't know if I want to take part in something that when a billionaire tweets, it corrects so drastically. So what do you say to
so to put this into context, so as I've been saying, we've been doing this for 10 years. We've had 15 of these corrections over the past 12 years. And this current one is an average one, nothing special. Number two, it always shakes out the weak hands. So like a Jim Cramer that you mentioned has lettuce hands or weak hands. He never did the research. He never talked about the technology. He was in and out. He's a trader. He's a hedge fund guy. He's not a serious money manager by any respect. Meanwhile, Paul Tudor Jones came out and said, I'm upping my allocation from 1% to 5%. Mm-hmm. Paul Tudor Jones is a very successful, multi-decade successful career hedge fund money manager titan. Jim Cramer is an entertainer on CNBC who, if you look at all his buys and sells over 15 years, you'd come out exactly dead even. He's never made anyone a nickel. So that's a big difference there. Number two, the hodling a security is always difficult. I remember when I was buying Apple stock in the late 90s when it had crashed and Steve Jobs just came back into the company. People were dead set against Apple. They hated Apple. Turned out to be a good investment. When was a good time to sell Amazon stock? Never. Even though it's went through some 60, 70% corrections throughout its ascent now to being one of the most valuable companies in the world, right? So volatility in Bitcoin is something we want because it's a trade-off we accept. Because holding fiat money means you have stability, but you're guaranteed to lose purchasing power. Holding Bitcoin is volatile, but you're guaranteed to increase purchasing power. Guaranteed. A word you rarely see in the investment world. And I was a fiduciary and a money manager and a stockbroker on Wall Street for many, many years. Very rare, never do use a word guaranteed, but I can, in this sense, tell you, you have a guaranteed rise in purchasing power with Bitcoin, and you do accept some volatility for that. But at a 200% annualized rate of return for 10 years, I'm willing to accept a little volatility. Anybody who's shaken out now, that happens all the time. I mean, those are markets. People, they pop in, they pop out. They don't do their research. They don't know why they own it to begin with. They end up dumping it, then they buy it back. Look at China. China's actually getting out of the Bitcoin business right at probably the best time to get into the Bitcoin business, but that's okay because El Salvador, Paraguay, Guatemala, Mexico, they're going to get into the Bitcoin business. Texas is going to get into the Bitcoin business. Texas is going to inherit all that mining from China. All those rigs went to Kazakhstan and Texas. And that's the way this distributed monetary network works. It only goes to people who are A, smart, two, have values, have ethics. China does not have the ethical basis to even own Bitcoin. They have an ethics problem first. That's their primary problem. Texas, on the other hand, is rich, historically, morally sound, and they love sound money, and they're going to get all the mining. And that's why we're doing this in Austin, Texas. Also, on July 8th, is that Texas is the new China. Texas is the new heartland of the Bitcoin mining world. Giddy up, Texas. Yahoo!
So on the note about China, sailors came out saying as well, tragedy for China, win for the rest of the world. When you see the news about the crackdown on the China mining, is this just, what are you thinking? Are there concerns there, Max, or do you feel this is just a narrative that's being repeated? And I also want to know, do you think it has anything to do with China launching a digital currency?
Right. It's great that China is getting out of the Bitcoin mining business because it means that the mining gets more distributed, more decentralized. Only Bitcoin is decentralized. Nothing else is. Fiat money is not, gold is not, and the altcoin, certainly no altcoin is decentralized. Only Bitcoin is truly decentralized. And so people who used to say, China's overly mining, too much mining in Bitcoin, it's too centralized. Okay, well, now that's no longer true anymore. It's being dispersed, it's being decentralized. Exactly as the game theory baked into the Bitcoin protocol would tell you would happen, has happened. As I said would happen 5 years ago, 4 years ago, 3 years ago, I said that decentralization is always going to hew toward more decentralization. So China's out of the picture. Their own central bank digital currency is just more centralized garbage. It doesn't compete with Bitcoin. It's just another version of their own fiat money that they're just doing digitally. The stock doesn't compete with Bitcoin. They will be plowing back into Bitcoin at $500,000 to $600,000 a coin. China made a strategic error right now, geopolitically, but it's great for El Salvador. It's great for Guatemala. It's great for Paraguay. It's great for Mexico, because they're going to inherit this monetary network at a great price. So remember, that's been compounding at 200% a year for 10 years. I still have a $220,000 target for Bitcoin in 2021. Well, that's still my target in 2021.
I'm happy you brought it up, because this is the room where it happened, Max,
right.
Where we had that video that went viral where you gave your forecast for the year, and I have my forecast tucked away in my childhood desk right next to me. I want to know, you have this big, bold forecast of 220,000.
Yeah.
You were hoping for November. Have you since adjusted?
No. I saw the same thing in 2013 and again in another period where you had a 5, 6, 7x move in a compressed amount of time. So I still have that target. The fundamentals that apply to Bitcoin are only getting stronger, and people are, I think, not pricing in this news about sovereign states making Bitcoin legal tender. I mean, this is the first, Bitcoin separates state from money. In the case of El Salvador, it'll be running parallel with the dollar, but the individuals have the right to take control of their own private keys. It's outside of the state's control. Same thing everywhere. And the government makes a good point. They're saying, why should we be in the business of the central bank business? We can outsource that to Bitcoin, and we can use geothermal, which is free and ecologically sound. And we can do other stuff with our time as a government. Government shouldn't be wasting their time trying to monkey around with monetary policy. It's a complete waste of government's time. Just outsource your monetary policy to Bitcoin and work on something else. Build roads, take out trash, do something that governments are good at. Don't focus on monetary policy. Governments are horrible at monetary policy. At this point, there's no difference between the United States and the Soviet Union in terms of monetary policy right now. You have a Politburo of decision makers making horrible decisions based on price signals that are concocted out of horrible feedback, out of horrible price signals, and they're both going to go the exact same way, into the trash bin of history, because they have no monetary policy, because they're run by kleptocrats and geriatric senile old idiots, and they're just going to die on the vine. And these countries run by young, enterprising entrepreneurs like El Salvador and others are going to be like, we'll take it. We'll run the world. Thank you very much. And Bitcoin is our standard.